Once you understand what really happens at 59 and a half, many of you will realize you've already earned the right to stop working full-time without blowing up your retirement. If you're between 57 and 62 and still planning to work until 65, this video may change that plan forever. Friends, there's a quiet moment that shows up for a lot of people around age 57, 58, 59. They open their 401k or IRA statement, look at the balance, and for the very first time, the question in their head changes from, "Do I have enough?" to, "Why am I still working this hard? And do I actually need to?" Most people keep working past that moment, not because they can't afford to retire yet, but because no one has ever explained how different the rules become at age 59 and a half, and how much control that age gives you over taxes, income, and your time. In this video, I'll walk you through why age 59 and a half is such a powerful turning point, how retirement income works very differently from paycheck income, the hidden cost of working too long in taxes and in lost healthy years, and a step-by-step framework so you can decide whether you truly need to keep working past 59 and a half. Stick with me to the end, because I'll give you one simple question to ask yourself tonight that has led many people to walk into work the next day with a completely new level of confidence. And just a reminder, the math in this video is very real. Grab a pen because you may want to pause and jot some numbers down as we go. Section 1. Why 59 and a half changes everything. Let's start with the rule that quietly changes everything. Before age 59 and a half, most withdrawals from traditional IRAs and 401ks are hit with a 10% early withdrawal penalty on top of your regular income tax. There are exceptions: disability, certain medical expenses, the rule of 55 for some 401ks, but for most people before 59 and a half, touching that money is expensive. The day you reach 59 and a half, that 10% penalty disappears for most retirement accounts. You still owe ordinary income tax on traditional accounts, but the penalty is gone, which means your retirement accounts stop being locked boxes and start becoming tools you can actually use. In a minute, I'll show you how that one change can save some people well into 6 figures in lifetime taxes. But first, you need to understand why this window between 59 and a half and your early 60s is so special. The planning opportunity is not just that you can take money out, it's that you can now design how money comes out and how that interacts with Social Security, Medicare, and required minimum distributions later. Think of 59 and a half as getting the master key to your retirement accounts. The question is not should I drain them now, the question is how can I unlock just enough in the smartest way so I can buy back my time without overpaying the IRS. Section 2. Work income versus retirement income. Here's the first mindset shift that makes people stop working past 59 and a half. Your income in retirement does not have to look anything like your income while you're working. When you're working, your paycheck is rigid. Almost every dollar is taxed the same way at the same bracket every 2 weeks. Once you're past 59 and a half and no longer tied to a salary, your income becomes flexible. You get to choose how much income you draw, which account it comes from, and how that mix hits your tax return. You might blend a small IRA withdrawal with some Roth income, some cash savings, maybe dividends from a taxable account, and later on, your Social Security benefit. Picture 3 faucets over your kitchen sink. One is labeled tax deferred. That's your 401ks and traditional IRAs. One is tax-free. That's Roth accounts. One is taxable, your regular brokerage and cash. After 59 and a half, you get to decide how far to open each faucet each year, and that decides how wet the IRS gets. For many people, the years between 59 and a half and about 65, before Medicare, and sometimes before claiming Social Security, are actually the lowest tax years of their retirement, if they stop or scale back work. Those can be the perfect years to do things like partial Roth conversions or intentional withdrawals that fill up lower tax brackets. In a moment, I'll walk through how this ties into the new required minimum distribution ages and why working just a few more years can quietly push your future tax bill way up. Section 3. The new RMD ages and your tax window. Recent law changes gave people in their late 50s and early 60s an even bigger planning window. Under Secure Act 2.0, the age to start required minimum distributions, RMDs, from most retirement accounts increased to 73, and for people born in 1960 or later, it will rise again to 75 in 2033. That means, if you are in your early 60s today and born after 1959, you may have roughly 10 to 15 years between age 59 and a half and your first forced distribution. Why does that matter? Because every year you intentionally move money out of tax-deferred accounts on your terms, perhaps by converting a slice to a Roth IRA or taking withdrawals while you're in a lower bracket. You are shrinking the size of those future RMDs that the IRS will force out later. Larger RMDs later can do three things you probably do not want: push you into higher tax brackets in your 70s and 80s, trigger higher Medicare Part B and D premiums through income-related surcharges, reduce your flexibility to manage taxes in later years. In plain English, if you keep working full-time past 59 and a half without a tax plan, you may be handing the IRS and Medicare thousands of dollars a year in avoidable taxes and premiums when you're 75 and tired of paperwork. You worked too hard for that. The sweet spot is this: fewer or no paychecks coming in, penalty-free access to your retirement accounts, and no RMDs yet. That is exactly the window that opens up around age 59 and a half. Section 4. The hidden cost of working too long. Most people assume that working longer always makes retirement safer. More savings must mean more security, right? Not always. If you work full-time deep into your 60s, you may actually lose your lowest tax years, the years when you could have done Roth conversions at relatively low rates or drawn down some tax-deferred balances before RMDs start. Delaying retirement can also mean postponing Social Security strategies, forcing more of your lifetime income into later years, when tax brackets, Medicare surcharges, and required withdrawals collide all at once. There is another cost that does not show up on a spreadsheet. Every extra year you work full-time in your early 60s is one less year when you are as healthy, energetic, and mobile as you are today. Many retirees describe the activities they can do in their early 60s, long trips, hiking with grandkids, big house projects, as very different from what they feel able to do in their mid-70s. So, the real question is not, can I squeeze out a few more dollars by working longer? It's, what am I giving up in tax opportunities and in healthy years by staying in the office when I may not need to? If your doctor looked you in the eye and said your healthiest 5 years start right now, would you spend them in meetings you don't enjoy, or would you spend them on the people and projects you care about most? Hold that thought while we talk about the two big fears that keep people stuck: health insurance and do I really have enough? Section 5. Health insurance and healthcare costs before 65. I'm terrified of health insurance costs. That fear is real, but it becomes manageable once you put numbers to it. If you retire in your early 60s and buy coverage on the Affordable Care Act marketplace, average benchmark monthly premiums for someone in their early 60s have been estimated around $1,000 to $1,100 per person before subsidies. That means a 62-year-old couple might easily see quotes near $2,000 a month before tax credits, depending on income and location. On the other hand, once you reach 65 and enroll in Medicare, your long-term healthcare costs do not disappear. Major studies estimate that a typical 65-year-old couple retiring in 2025 may need well into six figures set aside just for healthcare over the rest of their lives, including premiums and out-of-pocket costs. Here is the key. When you stop working and lower your taxable income between 59 and 1/2 and 65, you may actually reduce those marketplace premiums through income-based subsidies and open up more room for Roth conversions without hitting the highest brackets. So, health insurance is not always a reason you cannot retire. It is a cost that needs to be built into a smart plan. This is where a detailed retirement plan or good planning software can help model different what-if paths, retiring at 59.5, 62, or 65, and show how healthcare, taxes, and account balances interact over time. To be a single dollar number, 1 million, 2 million, 25 times their expenses. Rules of thumb, like the classic 4% rule, can be useful starting points, but they were built with very conservative assumptions and fixed spending in mind. Research has shown that in many historical periods, withdrawing 4% a year actually left retirees with more than they started with, and sustainable withdrawal rates have often been higher than that rule suggests. The real definition of enough is not just the size of your accounts, it is the clarity of your income plan. When you know your spending, your tax brackets, your withdrawal strategy, Social Security timing, and healthcare plan, you stop guessing. A couple with 1.5 million and a clear strategy can feel far more confident than a couple with 4 million and no plan. Clarity is what turns fear into freedom. Once people see how their income can actually work after 59.5, how much needs to come from investments, how much can come from part-time work, and how taxes behave, many realize they do not need to keep grinding the way they have been. Section 7. A practical framework to decide if you can stop working. Let's pull this together into a simple framework you can walk through after this video. This is where Uncle John gets a little advanced, but stick with it. This is the part that makes people look at age 59.5 completely differently. Step 1. Know your real spending number. First, figure out what you truly spend in a year. Look at the last 6 to 12 months of bank and card statements and group expenses into essentials, housing, food, utilities, insurance, and lifestyle, travel, gifts, hobbies. You cannot answer, "Do I need to keep working?" until you know what life actually costs you. Step 2. Map your 3 buckets. Next, lay out your accounts in 3 buckets. Bucket 1. Cash and near cash for the next 1 to 3 years. Checking, savings, short-term CDs. Bucket 2. Conservative investments for years 4 to 10. Bonds, balanced funds. Bucket 3. Growth investments for 10+ years. Stock funds and long-term growth. At 59.5, many people consolidate old 401ks into fewer accounts so they can see the whole picture more clearly and plan RMDs more easily later. Step 3. Use the 59.5 RMD window intentionally. Then, look at the years between 59.5 and your RMD age, 57 for many current retirees, 75 for those born 1960 or later, as your tax design window. Ask questions like, if I stop or reduce work, what tax bracket would I fall into? How much could I convert from traditional IRAs to Roth each year while staying in a comfortable bracket? Could I draw a modest amount from tax-deferred accounts now to reduce future RMDs and Medicare surcharges? A good planner or software can model these scenarios year by year. Step 4. Decide your work style, not just your retirement date. Stopping work at 59.5 does not have to mean going from 100% full-time to 0 overnight. Some people retire completely. Others shift to part-time, consulting, or a lower stress role. The key question is If I stopped full-time work today, how much income would I actually need from my investments to cover the gap? When people finally run that number, many are surprised. They realize that between savings, maybe a small pension, maybe a spouse still working, and intentional withdrawals, they don't need their full old salary at all, and that gives them permission to redesign work on their own terms. Step 5. Clean up debt and big obligations. Entering retirement with large, high-interest debts can choke your flexibility. Use your late 50s and early 60s to aggressively pay off credit cards and personal loans, and then decide how you feel about the mortgage. Some people choose to enter retirement with a paid-off home for peace of mind, even if the math is debatable. If you have substantial retirement savings and expensive debt, sometimes using a carefully planned distribution after 59.5 to wipe out that debt can make sense, but only after running the tax impact and the long-term plan. Step 6. Coordinate Social Security and pensions. Create an account at the Social Security Administration website and print out your benefit estimates at different claiming ages. For many people, every year you delay claiming from 62 to full retirement age increases your monthly benefit by around 5 to 6%, and from full retirement age to 70, the increase can be about 8% per year. If you or your spouse has a pension, get the detailed payout options in writing, including early retirement reductions and lump sum choices. Coordinating Social Security and pensions with your withdrawal and tax plan can add tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars over a retirement. Step 7. Design your next chapter on purpose. Finally, spend real time sketching your life after full-time work. Where will you live? What will you do with your days? What will keep you engaged, useful, and connected? Finances support this picture. They don't replace it. Many people discover that once they have even a rough picture, like, we'll sell the big house in 3 years, travel more while our knees cooperate, help the grandkids with college, the fear of leaving work starts to shrink. Your money finally has a job, buying you the life you actually want. Let's finish with a simple story. Names changed, numbers simplified, but this is based on real families. Tom and Linda are 59 and 57. They always assumed they would both work until 65. They had around the kind of savings a lot of diligent savers in their late 50s have, a paid-down mortgage and grown kids. For 3 years in a row, Tom kept saying, "Just one more year, then I'll feel safe." Sound familiar? Finally, they sat down and did exactly what this video describes. Modeled withdrawals between 59 and 1/2 and 70, and looked at different Social Security strategies. What they discovered was eye-opening. They did not need Tom's full salary anymore. If he stopped full-time work at 60, they could cover the gap with a mix of modest withdrawals from IRAs in a low bracket, some Roth conversions each year, marketplace health insurance with manageable premiums once income dropped, and Linda working part-time for a few years doing something she enjoyed. Tom ended up retiring from full-time work at 62 instead of 65, but he tells everyone he wishes he had done it even sooner. The difference in energy between 59 and 62 was much bigger than he expected, and those early retirement years became some of the richest of his life. The point is not that you should retire at 59.5 or 62. The point is that once you really understand what that age unlocks, penalty-free access, a powerful tax window, flexible income, you may find you no longer want to work the way you have been. If you are between 55 and 65, here is the question I want you to ask yourself tonight before you go to bed. If I stopped full-time work at 59.5 or 60, exactly how much income would I truly need from my investments after accounting for savings, part-time work, and Social Security timing to live the life I actually want, not the life your neighbor wants, not the life the financial commercials show, the life you want. If you do not know that number, it is time to build a plan. Once you understand how retirement income really works after 59 and a half, you may find that you are already far closer to work optional than you ever imagined. If this helped, do 3 things for Uncle John. Hit that like button so more people your age see this. Subscribe to Uncle John Financial so you do not miss the next deep dive on Social Security, Roth conversions, and retirement taxes. And in the comments, type the word clarity if you want more videos on how to use age 59 and a half to buy back your time. Remember, retirement is not about working until you cannot move. It's about using money, math, so you can stop working when you no longer need to, not when someone else's calendar tells you to. I'm Smart Grandpa, your guide to real-world retirement. I'll see you in the next video.